Welcome to the Buckingham News. I'm William Jones.
Clearing. It's time to man the phones again. Restoring the Buckingham Canal. Can you dig it? What becomes of the broken-hearted? Our guide to being dumped.
This week, many A-level students receive their much-anticipated results. This will surely mean an influx of students to the University of Buckingham. But what does this mean for the admissions staff here at the university? Yasmin Youssef has a story.
A-level results are out today and universities all over the country are dealing with admissions. We talked to Debbie Millens to find out more about the clearing process and the effect of the increase in tuition fees.
The clearing process works for those who haven't been successful in gaining a place at their first or second choice universities. So applicants have two choices of offer. A firm accepts insurance. If they fail to meet the grades for either of those offers, then they go into clearing, which means institutions who still have vacancies on their courses advertise through UCAS their vacancies, and applicants phone round and see whether there are places still available.
What proportion of students at Buckingham came through clearing?
Last year we recruited around 100 students through the clearing process, so it was an incredibly busy time for us. In September, the total number of undergraduates was around 400. So basically 1 in 4 people who came in September had come through clearing. This year we're having to be a little bit more careful because we've received over 200% more applications for September this year than we did last year. So there are far fewer places. So we're able to be much more selective. So the entry requirements for the places in clearing are much higher than they were last year. So, for example, for psychology, we're looking for maybe 5 to 10 places, and it's those kind of numbers on each of the degree programmes, quite small numbers.
Are there people that you reject from clearing?
Yes, if people don't meet the entry requirements, then we'll do our best to help them and advise them. But yes, there are certainly quite a few people we're not able to offer places.
How many people are coming through clearing this entry?
It's a little bit early to say yet because this is obviously the first day for clearing. We've probably made about 5 or 6 firm offers to applicants today. I expect tomorrow, over the weekend and Monday, will be the busiest times because today's the day when everybody's got their results. There's a lot of general panic. Some people are still waiting to hear from their other institutions whether or not they're going to be accepted. So the more serious applicants are most likely to be calling either tomorrow or Monday.
Has there been a drop in the number of people applying through clearing?
Overall, yes, and I don't think Buckingham is distinct in that. Overall, the number of people applying to university has dropped, partly because of the introduction of higher tuition fees, and a lot of students are not wanting to burden themselves with debt and are looking at other possibilities like apprenticeships. So I think students are thinking quite seriously now before they make their decisions to go to university.
So there you have it. UCAS applications for Buckingham are up, but clearing numbers are down across the board. This is Yasmin Youssef for Buckingham News.
The Buckingham Canal Society have been working hard to restore Buckingham's canal back to its former glory. Sana Kula has the report.
Just outside Buckingham, a little way off the A422, it's another quiet Sunday morning. Except for the Buckingham Canal Society, some of whose members are already hard at work restoring the old canal.
The restoration work depends on hard-working volunteers who don't mind getting a bit muddy.
The Buckingham Canal was opened in 1801 and it soon became an important part of local trade and at its peak in the 1840s carried 20,000 tons of goods a year. From the early 20th century it went into slow decline, silting up because of poor maintenance. It was abandoned in 1964. The society was founded in 1992 and it's only in the past 5 years that the restoration has moved up a gear. I asked Athena Beckett, chairman of the society, how things were going.
Right now, we're actually removing mud, very deep mud and rubble from the disused Buckingham Canal. We've been given a set of lock gates by British Waterways. These gates used to be part of the Northampton arm, and at the end of September we will be installing these lock gates here on our lock. But before we can install the lock gates, we just need to remove enormous amounts of rubble and mud that's been built up over the years. And that's what my very muddy friends behind me are attempting to achieve today.
Work is continuing along the whole 9-mile length of the canal.
We've got 4 sites. This one we're on today at the lock. We've got a section in Buckingham, Bolton Meadow, just across from the school, which we've got planning permission to re-water that stretch. We've got a stretch, Little Hill Farm, and we've got a 200-year-old stone canal bridge there that we've restored. We've got a stretch at Cosgrove, which is linked up to the Grand Union.
How can people get involved?
Quite a few different ways. We've got a Facebook group, a Facebook page, which has got information of upcoming work parties, and you can find a lot of information, pictures, shows what sort of stuff we get up to. We run work parties every 2 weeks on a Thursday, and the first Sunday of each month as well. And we come down here and or wherever we happen to be and get stuck in.
It's hard work, but people seem to be having a lot of fun. This is Sana Rebecca Collar, Buckingham News.
Relationships can be messy. We just have to read about our Pats and Case during the gossip magazines to see that. However, relationships and breakups don't need to be messy. Damien Wilson tells us how.
With recent high-profile breakups such as Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, it seems that relationship issues are a constant aspect of everyday life. We decided to ask students of Buckingham what's the worst way they've been dumped.
MSN. just a nice little message. I've always been the one too dumb to break the relationship. Always one-to-one. I have morals.
I've been done by email before when I was about 12, but I only saw her like 3 or 4 times. On by text. Again, I was like 12, 13. So.
I just left, I disappeared and didn't tell anything.
With so many resources available online, we asked student welfare what advice they would give.
Student counselling. So it may be something that is quite deep-rooted and something maybe an incident or something that has happened a long time ago, in which case, you know, counselling is a very good option. And different places that we can also refer people to, dependent upon what the problem is, the severity of the problem. Don't feel that you need to just keep everything to yourself. If you have close friends, if you have close relationships with family members, do speak to somebody.
So that was some of the experiences with students here at Buckingham. If you think you're having relationship problems, then student welfare is always available, and anything you say will be kept in the strictest confidence. For Buckingham News, I'm Damien Wilson.
The Art History Department's series of summer lectures continued at the University of Buckingham with Sovereignty and Supremacy, a newly found portrait of Henry VIII. Igor Shardabakova reports.
This term, the Art History Department has been conducting their Jubilee Summer Lecture Series. We went to one of these, Sovereignty and Supremacy, a newly discovered portrait of Henry VIII, to find out what it was all about.
Michael Liversidge, academic advisor in art history, conducted the lecture about the newly found portrait. We asked Michael Liversidge how we got involved with the portrait.
I just happened one breakfast to be watching BBC local television news, Points West, down in Bristol, where I was at the particular time, and they had an item about a house down in Somerset where a mysterious painting of Henry VIII had turned up on a wall. I said, well, I know that's Henry VIII, they knew that, but I said, well, this is very interesting, but I think I can tell them something about it.
We also asked Mr. Liversidge how rare and important was this finding.
It is completely unique. Nothing like it exists. We have no painted wall with Henry VIII in a house of that period come to light, and it's a rather miraculous discovery.
Finally, we asked what power images have in times of political and religious tension.
If you think about this country, in lots of official places you see the royal coat of arms. So an image of the person in power, the president, the sovereign, the authority, still communicates who is in charge, or in whose name, in the case of a constitutional monarchy like ours, in whose name the government governs.
So there you have it, an insight into how and why art and imagery is so powerful. By keeping the memory and supremacy of one of England's greatest kings alive 500 years on. Aykirim Shardarbekova, Buckingham News.
This week at the University of Buckingham, Sir Ivan Lawrence delivered his masterclass on advocacy. Michael Laporte has the story.
Today we are joined by Sir Ivan Lawrence to deliver a masterclass on advocacy. As a Member of Parliament for 23 years with experience in some of the UK's most notorious cases, it is a privilege to have him as part of the law department here at Buckingham.
Many students, most of them studying law, crammed into the IFHL building, where they would soon bask in the knowledge of advocacy, their young minds absorbing the wisdom of Sir Ivan Lawrence.
I'm delighted to be with you again. I'm particularly delighted that so many of you have come to hear about advocacy, which is the most stimulating, exciting and rewarding of all the weapons in the lawyer's armory.
He wrote his biography about his distinguished career in a collection of memoirs called My Life of Crime. When question time came along, we asked him what his favorite lecture was to give.
My favorite lecture in advocacy is how to cross-examine experts. I said, "Didn't you see the hole in the head? Great big hole in the skull." The pathologist had supposedly done the post-mortem and missed seeing a hole in the head. And the pathologist said, no, it wasn't there when I examined it. How do you think a hole in the head appeared? Well, it was going from one place to another. Who knows when a femur goes through a head?
Sir Ivan Lawrence is an accomplished lawyer, prosecutor, and professor. In this interview, we have explored his innermost thoughts towards advocacy and its success with his memoir. This is Michael Laporte reporting for Buckingham News.
The University of Buckingham's football team took on Finmere Football Club in a pre-season friendly match. Dina by Bossa Nova has the sport.
After being promoted last season, Buckingham's University football team took on Finmere Football Club in pre-season friendly at the playing fields in Finmere.
Look what we're doing. Okay, let's walk it in so it's a little bit tighter.
Finmere scored the first goal of the match within the first 10 minutes, which was shortly followed by a second, heaving Finmere 2-0 up. The first half was dominated by Finmere, but Buckingham managed to hold their own, and by half-time the score was still 2-0. In the second half of the game, Finmere played the entire reserve team, which gave Buckingham the chance to turn the game around. With one near miss, Buckingham player Will McPhee scored Buckingham's first goal of the match. And in the last minute of the game, the score was equalled thanks to James Whitecross, leaving the final score at 2-2. After the game, we've talked to Alex Rygers, Buckingham's team captain, about the performance.
For a scratchy start to begin with. We really didn't have it on straight to begin with, but we sorted it out as the match went along. A few errors here and there need to be worked out, but it's the pre-season, it'll come.
What are your targets for the next season?
Well, we'd like to keep moving up. Top of the table is the goal. If you're not shooting for the top, then there's no point in playing the games.
What are you going to take from this match to work on?
I would say we definitely need to work on our shooting, given that we scored no goals the last game and just 2 this game. Yeah, passing, defensive. Basically, we need to fine-tune all the parts of our game in order to, have a successful season.
As the captain said, there are lots of improvements to be made, but Buckingham's team showed a lot of promise. They are in it to win it and are not looking at getting relegated anytime soon. Dina by Bossa Nova, Buckingham News.
This has been Buckingham News. Thanks for watching.